And just like that, the Blackhawks make it to the Western Conference Finals in the NHL playoffs. I am Ernest James, and you are listening to Curbside with Ernest James.
Okay.
Allow me to be the voice of reasoning. At the beginning of the season, if they were going to struggle, everyone knew that Jimi Hendrix was out. He was I got a team for you. The Arizona Cardinals. Warm weather. Beanie Wells is the running back. They got a pretty decent offensive line. Larry Fitzgerald as a wide receiver. 12 million over the cap. So I just have to figure out a couple of things. Don't worry. I'll be back.
It's not a problem.
I kind of hated that I didn't get on the draft though, because I wanted the fact that Jimmy Butler and Brian Scalabrine came in at the same time. They played 3 games back to back to back against Washington. And then I'm not getting into the order, and I don't care. Washington, just Detroit, to get the rookies' feet wet, get rid of some of the nerves, and help him understand that he can play in the NBA. Don't drop him in the middle of a heated game versus the Indiana Pacers, who aren't that bad. And the first assignment that he has is to guard a jump shooter. You know, it's not like, and I'm having this discussion with a few people today, it's not like they told him to go out there and just make sure he doesn't get into the hole. He's guarding a jump shooter who lit him up for 9 straight points.
My oh my, did the referees have to make it as interesting as they did? Gee whiz. What apparently was a game-winning goal late in the third period by Nicholas Jarmerson. The Blackhawks had that goal disallowed due to a botched call by one of the referees. And despite all of that, they still came back and they took the victory in Game 7 versus the Detroit Red Wings. My goodness, what a game. It was so exciting. I was on the edge of my seat. I don't know how many hockey fans that are listening out there, but if you are listening right now, you stand up and take a bow. As I've stated before, Game 7 in the NHL playoffs are generally some of the most exciting playoff games you can ever imagine. And the Blackhawks and the Red Wings did not disappoint here. You know, it was tightly contested. Both teams fought hard. They played hard. Things got a little testy in the beginning. There were several interesting happenings going on with both teams. Both goaltenders, Corey Crawford, Jimmy Howard, they both made some wonderful, wonderful saves. I mean, I can't stress enough how interesting and how fun this Game 7 was, and just how fun the series was. And now, and if you have been living up under a rock, or you stumbled across this, you're trying to figure out, what am I listening to? Why is this fella jumping into the Blackhawks winning? You're listening to Curbside with Ernest James. Let me say that first. I am your host, Ernest James. And yes, the Blackhawks won Game 7 of the Western Conference semifinals. And they will go on to face the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Los Angeles Kings, on Saturday at 4 o'clock in Chicago Central Standard Time. And if you take a look at the landscape of the NHL playoffs, and you look at the 4 teams that are remaining, did you know that each team remaining represents the last 4 winners of the Stanley Cup? That is very interesting to me. It's going to come down to which team has the most talent and which team really wants it more. Over in the Eastern Conference, you'll have the Boston Bruins going up against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And out west, as I've stated before, the Los Angeles Kings versus the Chicago Blackhawks. Hopefully joining me sometime this week. Wonderful, wonderful reporter from the Chicago sports side named Evan Moore. He will probably be joining me to discuss hockey at some point in time before the week is out. Hopefully he can give us a few moments of his time, talk about the NHL playoffs, give his insight, get his opinion on what the Blackhawks can do, and just who he sees in the Stanley Cup Finals and who he sees actually winning the Stanley Cup. So looking forward to that. Just want to take a few minutes to really just discuss what I witnessed today. You saw on one end a team full of veterans, tried and true. Detroit, I take my hat off to them. They played hard. They played well. They have nothing to be ashamed of. Those guys over there, they did not quit. Injuries happen throughout the game where players will go down, hurting, suffering. Didn't stop them. Came out, played well. My biggest fear, though, is that did the Red Wings give the Kings a blueprint on how to defeat the Blackhawks? What the Red Wings did, originally, I thought, and I'm not a hockey aficionado by any stretch of the means, but I thought that the Red Wings were a carbon copy of what the Blackhawks are, a puck possession team that likes to keep the puck in the opposite team's zone and pass it around and look for the best shot to take, look for angles to take when they attempt their shots. And the Detroit Red Wings, they kind of flipped the script a little bit. They played physical. They had a bunch of different tricks up their sleeves. They was in Jonathan Toews' face pretty much throughout the entire series. Same thing with Patrick Kane. Same thing with Patrick Sharp. They really didn't let a lot of the Blackhawks players get off and do what they do best. But there's an old saying that goes for the playoffs, and not just hockey, but in any sport. You're going to have your stars. There's always going to be star players on different teams. But come crunch time, come when it matters most, these second-tier players, the grunts, so to speak, the role players, when they elevate their games and pick the stars up and put them on their backs to victory, you know you might be witnessing something special. For the first two series, just about, the Red Wings had that. They defeated the Anaheim Ducks in 7. Played remarkably well. Jimmy Howard played well throughout his playoff stint. They played the Blackhawks tougher than I've seen the Blackhawks be played all season long, even giving the Blackhawks their first 3-game losing streak. And it put the Blackhawks not only in a place where they had to deal with adversity for the first time this season, but at the brink of elimination. And it forced the Blackhawks to come out and scrap and fight and claw themselves back up to victory. Now, did this Game 7 series, did this entire series take it all out of the Blackhawks? And when I mean by saying it, I mean, did it take all of the fight out of them? Did it take all of the energy out of them? I hope not. I hope this series with the Kings is entertaining enough, and I'm hoping that the Blackhawks can come out with a victory and meet whoever survives in the Eastern Conference Finals. As you can tell, I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of bouncing around. First off, started the show late. I give it time. I say 10 o'clock, and the Blackhawks were still playing at 10 o'clock. And I did not want to do anything until the Blackhawks game was over with. I didn't want to take you away from the game. I wanted you to hear some analysis after the game was over with, even though, again, I'm not a hockey specialist. I'm not sure how much I can offer. I can offer a common sense opinion, And sometimes a common sense opinion is all that matters. But I apologize for starting late. If you have any thoughts or ideas, follow me on Twitter. It's at Ernest Shepard, ErnestShepard. Do not hesitate to like the Facebook page. That is The Ernest James Theory, and that's on Facebook. Yesterday's show, I played some music. I plan on introducing 2 independent artists today. And if you're an independent artist, hip-hop, R&B, jazz, spoken word, rock music, Latin, pop, doesn't matter. If you want your music to be heard, shoot me an email. How can you do that? You can reach me at ErnestShepard75@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. Give me your consent with the MP3. If you say yes, Ernest, you can play it, I'll play it. I'll give you a quick shout out as I play it. And hopefully that'll get you some attention. And hopefully you'll tell your friends that, hey, he played my music here while talking about sports. I think I can trust him, and I think you should trust him too. I'm also in the process of looking for people who are interested in sponsoring the show. Curbside with Ernest James, small business owners, people looking to kind of expand their brand a little bit, and you're worried about advertisement rates being so doggone high. I'm pretty reasonable. I can give your business a shout out and it not be a problem. You can also email me at ErnestShepard75@gmail.com, and we can discuss whatever it is that you want to discuss and come down to terms. As of now, I am sponsored by nobody. So if you like what you hear and you're enjoying what you're listening to, feel free to say you enjoy it. Yesterday I had the show. It was the 11th time I ever done the show, and I've been very sporadic for the last year in doing the show. I have not been as committed as I need to be, and as I promised that I would become as committed as I possibly can. I had someone reach out to me on an article that I wrote for the Bleacher Report. I am a featured columnist on the Bleacher Report for the Chicago Bulls page, and one person said that the show is bad. Not going to call his name out. He might be listening. And if you are listening, you said my show is bad, and I want to know why you think it's bad and what must I do to improve it. And if you think the show is bad, shout it out. I don't care. I like to know your opinions. I like to make the show as entertaining and as fun and engaging and as relatable as I possibly can. And this show is about you, the listener. Sure, I can sit up here and tell you what I like to talk about, and quite frankly, I'll talk all doggone day if you let me. But it's not about me. It's about you, the listener, the most important person to the show. But so far, nothing else in the world is going on except for the Blackhawks winning Game 7. I'm very proud of them. I'm very proud of their effort. I'm very proud of how they stepped up and played, how they didn't allow themselves to be caught up in goonery that they found themselves caught up in Game 2 and 3 and 4. How they kept attacking Jimmy Howard, be it straight away, bringing in a body, a.k.a. Brian Bickle, Andrew Shaw, and his pesky self trying to get in the face of Red Wings players. You know, that they each player stepped up and they did their role. Patrick Sharp, wonderful goal early on. or later parts of the first period. Second period, I apologize. 7th goal of the season, of the postseason for him. He leads all players in goals of the postseason, and that's great. But coming up next is a very, very stingy Los Angeles Kings team. And the person minding the net for them is Jonathan Quick. Jonathan Quick, when I looked over the stats, do you know he has only given up 1.4 goals throughout this playoffs? That has added up to 10 goals. 2 series, 10 entire goals throughout the entire series. Talk about playing your ass off. Jonathan Quick has played his ass off. He has done what they say in hockey, stood on his head. Now, the Blackhawks had a wonderful time with him the first game of the season, where they abused him for 5 goals. First game of the season. The Blackhawks won the season series 2-1-1. So the Blackhawks match up pretty decently with the Kings. But as the Red Wings figured out, if you play the Blackhawks physically, they might actually disappear a little bit. And here's hoping that they don't. I'm hoping that they come out, they get excited, they soak up the atmosphere in the crowd, and they play their asses off. Win game 1, which is going to be on Saturday. Win game 2 in a weird back-to-back scenario for the playoffs period, because generally in the playoffs, unless it's baseball, teams hardly ever play back-to-back. But the Hawks and Kings are playing back-to-back on Saturday at 4 and on Sunday at 7. And the reason for that is the Rolling Stones is going to be in town on Friday for a concert, and they're going to be back on Monday for a concert at the United Center. So the Hawks will be forced to play a back-to-back. Hopefully they don't have to expound so much energy where they can win both games. It would be ideal if they can win both games. That being said, I'm going to switch gears for a little bit. And while I switch gears, I have to play my favorite tune. Anybody paying attention to basketball today? In case you missed it, nothing's going on today. That game's tomorrow. But it's going to be a pivotal game 5 for the Miami Heat and Indiana Pacers. I believe the winner of tomorrow's game will take the series. If it's the Pacers, they'll take it in 6. If it's the Heat that wins tomorrow, they'll take it in 7. I think with the outcome of yesterday's game, LeBron James fouling out for the first time in God knows how long. I think Dwayne Wade and his late game turnover. I think how the Miami Heat didn't attack the basket as often as they did in Game 3. And I think that the Pacers' size is going to make a difference here. Now, I'm not going to say whether or not which team will win, but I will say it's going to be an interesting matchup. And I'll have more on that in a few. I'm looking at a hard break for me. You're listening to Curbside with Ernest James, and I'll be right back.
I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of shadow like bricks. Cannot escape from this empty ass room. Newport's back to stacks, hating me in this green and white tomb. I need to break this cocoon. Where is God? I hope he comes soon. I'm like a fetus stuck in its womb. I refuse to feed the tube. Surrounded by so much fake gangsters and goons. But luckily, I switched the station and I hit the right tune. So now it's this hip-hop music that I verbally abuse. So much food for thought. It's the art that likes to refuse to explode. You can't retreat this art form. You had to be chose from the soul. So I embrace this chronic feeling and I watch it unfold. Let it be known, this one the feeling that runs through my bones is the ones that make thrones to expose my inner token. That my heart is broken. I walk on stage, but none of my words has been spoken. Now who's the joking? Always leads to hope that when y'all niggas stop OG Logan, just quit the joke and tell me something that's potent. Stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams.
I got a Glock and a dream and a head full of schemes and a plot involving the shots if you wanna intervene. Still chasing that cream, that green, and so it seems can bring out the demons out the most timid of beings. You better believe between Dr. King and that bullet was a bullet driven by frivolous things. I ain't condemning the loot, but some growing the troops that they shoot, standing in their boots, thinking that they spreading truth. Excuse, I'm just a rambling man, traveling fam, navigated by the voices in my head, and they won't stop barking, screaming, and fucking arguing. Oh, here he goes again. Who the fuck when it started it? My flow's a stain on the cardigan. No matter soaking or scrubbing, once self gets on, you're never gonna part from it.
I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. No more words left to speak. Wanna figure me out? It involves various belligerent thoughts on no two-sided sheet. Smoking fresh bees with the prick keeper. It's the bottom of your soul's worry purposely trying to reach her. Mama said she was a keeper. With her soft moans, I couldn't leave her. Bringing them chills with the fever. Spreading indigenous love throughout the lonely world speakers. Kids, listen to your teachers or be forced to sleep with the preacher, the soldier speaker. Bringing that ether. Unlike your faithful girl in my world, my music will never deceive you. I'm turning morning beaters into believers while I'm hitting that cheaper. Just call me Caesar Chavez, giving a hard-working man a little milk to go along with a slice of bread. Shit, you kids already been fed. Sun pop lead, the cars ruckus, sun drop dead. I'm tired of kicking buckets, ducking over you motherfuckers. Just for nothing. Got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. I got stains on my sleeves and matching holes in my jeans. I got $1 in my pocket with a pocket that's full of dreams. Yo.
Welcome back to Curbside with Ernest James. I'm your host, Ernest James. Special thanks out to the survivalists, the gentleman who had the track that I just played, Pocket Full of Dreams. Shout out to my buddy Sel. I appreciate him for allowing me to play that song. One of the hip hop artists from the Chicagoland area that everyone needs to pay attention to and watch out for. Once again, that was the Survivalist, and that was their song, Pocket Full of Dreams. Before the break, before the music, I was talking about the Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA and the Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers. Now, what I wanted to get into was the keys to victory for both teams. What's going to have to happen if the Miami Heat want to take Game 5, the pivotal Game 5. What they're going to have to do is establish the other guys early. LeBron James, he's LeBron James. He can get his points pretty much whenever he damn well pleases, at any time that he pleases. It doesn't matter. It's open season on anyone that is going to defend him, I believe, tomorrow. What has to happen, though, is that the other players must step up. Players like Dwayne Wade, who I'm not sure if he's 100% healthy. I know he's been hobbling with his knee throughout the playoffs. At the same time, I think that he has to play better. Chris Bosh has to have a much better game. And they have to get something out of their role players. Guys like Shane Battier. Guys like Ray Allen, who, in my opinion, isn't an ideal role player. At the same time, he hasn't done what I expected when they signed him. You know it's tough when one of the best all-time free throw leaders or leaders in free throw percentage misses key and clutch free throws during the closing stretches of the game. So players like Battier, players like Ray Allen, Mario Chalmers has to step up. Where's Norris Cole in this series? He played his ass off versus the Bulls. Against the Pacers, he somewhat disappeared. Another guy who hasn't played well, with the exception of Game 1, is Birdman, Chris Anderson. He had that wonderful performance in Game 1, and although he hasn't disappeared, he hasn't done anything to replicate that performance in Game 1. And it's hard for the Heat to win versus a team like the Pacers, who have a bevy of size. You know, they have a huge front court. They have guys that comes off the bench that can do the dirty work, and they're big as well. It's going to be tough for Miami. But if they want to win Game 5, and I'm not saying that they can't, because, again, they have LeBron. LeBron is the man. He can do pretty much what he wants to do when he wants to do it. At the same time, LeBron cannot beat the Pacers by himself. Now, if the Pacers want to win Game 5, what they'll have to do is continue to stick with the script. They must continue to look for opportunities for David West in the post, Roy Hibbert in the post, and to continue to play inside-outside basketball. During the New York series, what alarmed me most about the Pacers was the fact that, for instance, George Hill would grab an inbounds pass, and he'd take the ball up court and dribble down the shot clock. And when you look up and you notice the shot clock is at 7, ticking down to 6, what he did was take a ill-advised three-point shot. Sometimes they would go in, more often than not they wouldn't. But what it does to this Pacers team is that it affects their ability to score. Now, coming into the series, the knock on the Pacers were the fact that they had trouble scoring. The fact that they would go through scoring droughts here and there. And one of the advantages that they had by going inside they failed to take advantage of. Against the Heat, it's a clear advantage. Who's going to stop Roy Hibbert in the post? You can't tell me LeBron is going to stop Roy Hibbert. He may limit his shots by trying to steal the ball, but Roy Hibbert's a big dude. Who's going to stop David West in the post? I don't think anyone on the Heat team, on the Heat roster, can do that. Question is, though, will the Pacers abandon that advantage? Paul George also has to continue to be hot. And first time All-Star this season, most improved player in the NBA. Has anyone's stock risen higher than Paul George's stock has throughout this playoffs? I don't think so. Paul George, who many people probably never heard of, or your casual basketball fan who only pay attention to the Knicks, the Bulls, the Heat, the Lakers, the Clippers, they probably couldn't tell you who Paul George was. Now they know who he is. Now they know that he can actually play. And in fact, he might be that budding superstar. I'm not going to say top 10 player in the NBA just yet. At the same time, he's not that far from it. He's shown me that he's ready to make that star turn, that he can lead his team on his back. Another one of the knocks on the Pacers going into this series was the fact that they don't have a go-to scorer. I think Paul George has proven that inaccurate, for lack of a better word. I think with him playing the way he's played, I think that the Pacers are playing better, and the Pacers actually have a chance of taking over this series. Looking over the numbers really quick, Paul George is averaging 18 points and 5 assists in the series. That's pretty damn good for a player who he's only in his third year in the league. He's playing in the playoffs for the third consecutive season. And each year, the Pacers, they make another step. Last season, they faced the Heat, second round, pushed the Heat to the brink to some degree. The Heat won in 6. Season before that, although the Bulls, the team that they faced, defeated them 4-1, that entire series was close. That entire series was almost to the wire. These games, they're learning experiences. Great learning experiences for young players such as Paul George, Lance Stevenson, who is another player that has played well, performed well throughout the playoffs. And I'm quite impressed. But they're going to have to continue that if they want to make sure that they can leave out of American Airlines Arena victorious. Now, the show is going to be wrapping up soon. What you're listening to is Curbside with Ernest James. I am Ernest James. If you like what you're listening to, you want to try to join the conversation, follow me on Twitter. Hit me up on Twitter. Hashtag Sports Talk, hashtag Ernest James, hashtag Curbside with Ernest James, and I'll holler at you. Follow me at Ernest Shepherd. Like the Facebook page, The Ernest James Theory. But I wanted to do a brief show today. I wanted to talk about the Blackhawks a little bit, which I did. Not to the extent that I would have liked to, but I did. I wanted to talk about the Pacers Heat, and I did. There's something else that I want to talk about. Something that a lot of people have their own opinions about. I'm talking about the professional world of boxing. And news just broke not too long ago. I'm reading this on ESPN.com right now, and if you give me a moment, I'll be able to have something definite, some interesting news. Now, I don't know what a lot of people think about Floyd Mayweather Jr. I don't know where he stands in the minds of many fans. I know I appreciate boxing. I appreciate boxing for skill, for the beautification of it. I appreciate the knockout, but I also appreciate the guy who actually boxes, who shows defense and shows that he can punch and shows that he can take a punch. Well, September 14th, Floyd Mayweather Jr., pound for pound king as they call it, will have to prove that he can take a punch because he is set to step into the ring with the junior middleweight champion, Saul Canelo Alvarez. Deal's done. Supposed to be a big-time Showtime pay-per-view event at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada. And for all those who have been down on Floyd for these past few years, where he talked about wanting to fight Manny Pacquiao, but never actually coming up with a deal to fight Pacquiao. And a lot of people have had their criticisms with him in the past, saying that he's ducking Pacquiao. Well, it's time to silence your words and acknowledge the fact that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is actually stepping out on a limb here, and he's taking on the best damn available opponent in Alvarez. Alvarez, hell of a boxer, undefeated, tough boxer, 42-0-1, 30 knockouts. Very strong boxer, nice punching power, likable boxer. Has a couple of things that he needs to polish as a fighter, and one of those things being his defense. He has the tendency to leave his hands down when he boxes, and when he throws shots, he expounds so much energy when he throws his punches that if a fighter was smart when boxing him, they can actually take advantage with his chin and test his chin and see if he can actually take a punch. Because one of the things that I've seen with Alvarez, I'm not sure if he can take a punch because he hasn't had many fighters that have been willing enough to trade punches with him. What's going to make this fight very interesting is the fact that Floyd doesn't mind trading punches with anybody if he has to. At the same time, he's perhaps the most intelligent boxer in the last 10 to 15 years in regards to making his opponents fight his fights. He's one of those guys, he'll take a power puncher and he'll negate their power by throwing his shoulder up with his guard up and lightly throw a jab just to get the harder puncher thinking to himself, okay, I can get him at any time. And once that harder puncher attempts to throw a power shot, what happens is he takes a stiff jab to the jaw, or he takes a stiff jab to the chin, and he's stunned for a moment, and he starts second guessing himself and saying, I can't knock this dude out. This guy's hand speed is too fast for me. So one of the key things in boxing, as they say, styles make fights. It's going to be an interesting fight. I'd like to know what everyone thinks about that. Do you think Floyd Mayweather can beat Canelo Alvarez? Something that I'd like to talk about, something that I definitely would like to discuss in a later show, perhaps in the next show, actually. If I get enough feedback, I'll post a question on my Twitter page. Can Floyd Mayweather Jr. defeat Saul Canelo Alvarez? And how can he defeat him? Can he knock him out? Can he win on points? Or is Alvarez's power just a little too much for Floyd to handle? It's probably going to be the first fight that I've ever ordered on pay-per-view, depending on what the undercard is. Normally, I'm one of those guys, I'll find out who has the fight, maybe a pub, maybe a bar, or something like that, maybe a buddy's house, and I'll say, yeah, I don't want to invest the $70. Fights usually end a little too quickly for me, and I don't like the undercard. So, what are you all doing? You all got the fight? Okay, I'm coming to your house. This time, I think I want to order the fight myself and watch it and see how these two boxers can clash with each other. And if it's an epic fight, does it set up for a return match? If it's a blowout for either boxer, what's next? Floyd. If Floyd can beat Alvarez, what's next for him? He signed a 6-fight deal with Showtime, and he promised that he was going to give Showtime all of their fights. But to me, Alvarez is almost as high as you can go on the food chain. I don't see another opponent at this moment stepping up that's probably tougher. Maybe Peter Chocolate Quillen out of Brooklyn, New York. Maybe him. He's pretty tough, but as far as the weight is concerned, Quillen is a little too small for Floyd. I definitely don't want to see him against Timothy Bradley. That's one of those fights, and this is no disrespect to either fighter, but that would be a boring snore fest where both fighters would be in a defensive stance, and we'd have to force ourselves to yell at our television screens and say, somebody throw a damn punch. Pacquiao is still up there. I would love to have seen Mayweather Pacquiao like 3 years ago when both fighters were in their prime, but now Pacquiao has a couple of losses on his hands. And to top it all off, he's going to be facing a very tough Brandon Rios in November. Now, if Floyd actually defeats Alvarez, does that set up for a Mayweather-Pacquiao fight come next May? That's pretty interesting. At the same time, what's going to happen with Alvarez if Alvarez wins? Who's left? He's defeated the top dog, the guy at the highest point of the food chain. There are not too many boxers that's left if he's able to defeat Floyd. It would actually put him in a position where he is not even arguably pound for pound best fighter, best boxer next to Andre Ward. But I don't see how much further he can go up if he can defeat Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, I'll tell you what I think. I think it's going to be a definite test of wills. I commend Floyd Mayweather Jr. for actually taking a fight. And I commend Golden Boy and I commend Canelo Alvarez's camp for saying yes to what is probably going to be not only the biggest fight of the year, but perhaps the most entertaining fight of the year. It makes me once again appreciate boxing, the good parts of it, so to speak. Well, that's all I have for today. You've listened to Curbside with Ernest James. I'm your host, Ernest James. Follow me on Twitter at Ernest Shepherd, hashtag Curbside with Ernest James. I'm going to post my question up on Twitter now, actually, about Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Canelo Alvarez to get your opinion. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me who you think can win that fight. I'll keep that conversation open as much as I possibly can. Also, don't forget to like the Facebook page, It's the Ernest James Theory on Facebook. I still have my Bleacher Report article up. The one trade Chicago Bulls must make this offseason. Definitely check it out. Special shout out to the tens of thousands of people that have read it thus far. I appreciate that very much. Look for something popping up on my website called The Outside Analysis, outsideanalysis.com. That's generally where I post a lot of my boxing articles at when I want to talk about the fights, the sweet science boxing. That's where I post a lot of my stuff at. So if you want to hear my boxing or want to read my boxing opinions, you can definitely find it there. Some pretty interesting stuff, and I like to be interactive. I like to talk back and forth. So if you want to get into a sit down chat with me, definitely we can do that. Also, I just want to say that the audio that I used in the beginning of the show with the Blackhawks winning, that was courtesy of NBC Sports. I definitely have to say that so I don't get in any trouble. If you are unsigned artists and you'd like to get your music played here during the breaks and whatnot, I definitely can do that. Email me at ernestshepard75@gmail.com. Send me a brief bio about you, and I'll definitely play it, give you a shout out. I'm also hunting for sponsors. So if you're a small business owner, if you got something going on, you got something that you want to plug, we can definitely sit down and discuss some things. Same email address, ernestshepard75@gmail.com. I'm going to take you all out with a song that was done by a gentleman I've had the pleasure of meeting or talking to a couple of months ago during one of my reemergences of Curbside with Ernest James. I had the pleasure of interviewing a gentleman by the name of Demetrius Amperan. He is a Chicago-based poet. Some people are familiar with him for Brave New Voices. Some people are familiar with him for the Louder Than the Bomb competitions. Well, he has a hip-hop song out, brand new video. Check it out. Go to YouTube. You can go to his YouTube page. It is Demi, D-E-M-I, Amperan, A-M-P-R-A-N. Definitely check it out. And if you want to refresh, of course, on who he is, I actually had the pleasure of interviewing him and how he got into the poetry scene. And you can find that on the archive, the Curbside with Ernest James archive page. And just pull it up, take a listen to it, offer some opinion, or offer some feedback, or just enjoy what he has to say. But otherwise, I thank you all for listening. I'm trying to get this more consistently over the next few weeks. I will be looking at having a consistent and solid time frame, perhaps 9 to 10, perhaps 10 to 11, but something's going to be consistent. I am looking at improving the show as much as I possibly can and doing everything that I can to make it better, make it more enjoyable. I need your help with that. Add on your opinions. Add on your thoughts. If you think it's bad, like one guy said, just say it's bad and tell me why. If you think it's great, but it could be better, tell me that, and then tell me what can be done to make it better. This is your radio show. I am the voice of you, the fan. And I will always be the voice of you, the fans. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you all tomorrow. Don't forget, before the Blackhawks play on Saturday, I'm hoping to talk to Evan F. Moore, writer for the Chicago side. It's a sports website. that is connected with the Chicago Sun-Times. Hopefully we'll be able to get into a little bit of hockey talk. So all you hockey fans out there, I'll try to plug it early enough to make sure that I can get him down and get a definite from him, that we'll be able to bounce some hockey ideas back and forth as we preview both the Eastern Conference Finals and Western Conference Finals. But once again, that's my time. I appreciate the hell out of you all. I am out.
Real bad day. Yeah. Let's talk about a hip hop girl. Like? Riding around in the Honda, 4-door Accord, fresh new acrylic and a whole lot of soul. She a curse a nigga out, but that shit takes tolls. Money she don't have, baby daddy on parole, and he say that he loves her, looking in brown eyes. But a nigga ain't getting locked down at 25. Like a nigga got dreams and you messing him up. She get that look in her eye, like nigga I'ma say something, but she late for the red line. She off on the red line, headphones and notepad. She writes in her spare time to clear these demons and maybe empty her closet, find enough to make a team, but she ain't looking for sponsors. Got dreams that can't be bottled. High school used to model for niggas caught in forbidden fruits of apple bottom jeans. She loved the attention and hated the reasons, but still went with grandma and copped that dress from Peaches before court orders and Jordan in fourth quarter. She a kick back, relax, roll doja, blasting off for the biggie. She getting lost in the pot, remembering when it was just hip hop. Like, cause she's a hip hop girl, grew up Southside shy, nobody ever gave her shit. Man, she'll never lie, she tells stories of her heart, paint pictures of her soul, and this is what happens when her heart grows cold. See, she was born on the west side, raised in the south side, had dreams of the north side, that pretty north side, the type of place you only see on TV. That proud family looks just like me, no heads held low, no HIV, no low link cards or thoughts of abortion. But a girl can only dream, standing in the county line, pictures of Martin King. See, she always had a thing for trying to save the world. Saw too many hearts die, then said fuck it. Said what's the point of living if we living in the cycle? Already know that that boy robbed, see, that boy banged his hat to the left. That girl no respect for herself. That nigga crazy, man, that girl psycho. Boy fall like Michael till he's killed on the south side. She like, man, my son getting grown, and he don't need to be a part of same episodes. Rather trade straight bullets for white folks, evil stares. They say that looks can kill, but a gun is for real. Rest in peace, Eddie, man, rest in peace, James. Her heart's in all these pieces after all this fucking rest. Before court orders and Jordan in fourth quarter, she a kick back, relax, roll doja, blasting off with a biggie. She getting lost in the pot, remembering when it was just hip hop. Like, cause she's a hip hop girl, grew up Southside shy, nobody ever gave her shit. Man, she'll never lie, she tells stories of her heart, paint pictures of her soul, and this is what happens when her heart grows cold. Said it's easy to make it all look sad, but harder to see the wonderful things that we have. See, this ain't a story about a girl who lost her path away, but here's a few things that I have to say. Most niggas will be cool if they ain't have to save something, looking at me like a damsel in distress. Nigga, this ain't Superman, and I ain't laying low. I was pretty like a rose before I lay, call me Lotus. It's funny how people notice when your ass is like Kim Kardashian's, but don't give a fuck about late night classes. Low EFC and no pale granted. Ignore the oppression and hate the advances. This place is a cancer, where white men abandoned, where fathers left stranded. But we all here though, that our dreams got us and be our heroes. Like, she's a hip hop girl, grew up Southside shy, nobody ever gave her shit. Man, she'll never lie, she tells stories of her heart, paint pictures of her soul, and this is what happens when her heart grows cold in the city. Oh, girl, I love you so, never ever ever wanna let you go. Hip hop girl, hip hop girl, hip hop girl, hip hop girl. Like?